Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we will talk about the Codeigniter interview tricks. Using this, you can easily crack any interview. I'm not going to share you any magic trick here or any specific questions here that you can crack the interview. I'll just tell you how to prepare for the interview on Codeigniter. So the first thing is you have to go through the documentation line by line to make sure the concept is very clear. So here, if you go through the documentation of Codeigniter, uh, you'll see the Codeigniter 3.x and Codeigniter 2.x. So first what you have to do is you just completely go through the Codeigniter 2.x and then Codeigniter 3.x. So here if you see that the table of contents is provided here, so you have to go through all these points at least once. Why this is because most of the concepts will be very clearly explained in these topics. So we have this normal informations, then how the installation work and the introductions, and then few tutorials on this. We have some general topics. So here Codeigniter URLs, controllers, reserved names, and views, model helpers, and all. And here are a few additional resource. We have the class reference, driver reference, and helper reference. So if you go through all this topic it mentioned here, it will be very easy for you to understand how exactly Codeigniter works and what are the key points in the Codeigniters. For example, let me go to the Codeigniter URLs. So here they have mentioned that by default URLs Codeigniter are designed to be search engine and human friendly. So how the URL works in the Codeigniter, everything has been defined here. And if you see this example they have given is example.com, news, articles, my articles. So here they have like explained here is what will be this example.com and what will be the news and what will be the articles and the my articles. If you see here they have explained it using the exact keyword used. So the news is actually class, the article is actually functions, and the my article is actually the parameters. So this is a simple talk about the URL and URI segment. Similarly, we have another thing here. Let's go for the models. So here if you see that they have listed few points here. What is model, anatomy of a model, loading a model, auto loading a model, connecting to your database. So they have explained here how exactly model work here in Codeigniter. And then anatomy of model here. So what is the construction and how we are like using this and all. Similarly, if you go for the few class reference, if you see this HTML table class, how the HTML table class has been used in Codeigniter. So actually this is a library which you have to load. So this is a way of loading a library here, and this is the example they have given. So this way if you go with all these points, it will be very clear for you to understand what exactly things are there in the Codeigniter, and the definitions, and how it works and all. So this is the first point which you have to keep in mind, and you have to go through it completely, line by line and the word by word. So this will definitely help you to crack the Codeigniter interview. Now the second point is, check the Stack Overflow questions on Codeigniter. What does it means is, we have tons of questions available in Stack Overflow questions for Codeigniter, which if you go through that, we'll just go through the Stack Overflow plus Codeigniter. Newest questions on Codeigniter, Codeigniter 3 questions and all. So you just go with the Codeigniter and see how frequent people have asked about a few things on Codeigniter. So you can go through all those questions and see how people has answered those questions. What is the errors the people were getting mostly frequently? Because if you see that this is 337 votes and 20 answers and 721,000 views are there for this. It means people has searched for these questions this much time. Means this is a very frequent raising errors. So you can go through this, and here see, if you see this is the 100 vote questions, how to remove index.php in Codeigniter's path. So similarly you can go through all these questions over here, which will definitely help you to understand the basic errors and the questions raised in Codeigniters. So that was the second point. And third is, understand the Codeigniter library. So if you see, I have in my previous video I have created these Codeigniter applications. So here you have to understand the library. That is, if you go to system, you have few libraries available here. So this is the Codeigniter's library. If you see here, we have lots of libraries available here. You can go through each and everything, like how the captcha works here, and what is the way of using JavaScript, what is the way of using session, calendar, this is a card, this is driver, email, encryption, form validation, FTP, image and all. So you have to go through this all one by one and see how these things are worked. And then we have this core. You can go with this core here, and you have this database, how the database works here. You don't have to like go with all, but basic things is like how your database works, and how Codeigniter use fonts, how Codeigniter use helpers, how Codeigniter use language, and what are the libraries available. And then there is application. So in the application, if you see that we have this cache, we have config, we have controller, core, helper, hooks, language, library, log, model, third-party views, and all. So if you're preparing for a Codeigniter interview, you have to know about all these things very clearly. So based on this, you have to understand how this configuration work, how controller work, how this core work, how helper works, how hooks work, and language, libraries and all. And next thing will be the configuration. If you see here, there are lots of configurations they have kind of defined here. So in this, the very important things is this auto load, this config, constant database and hooks and MIMES, profilers and roots. These are kind of generic configuration which is used very frequently and which is the key point of interview. Another is controller. So you have to see how exactly the controller works here. Then we have the helpers. Actually here helper is like, if it will first, it will search in user defined helpers, and if it will not get that helper here, then it will go to the system's helper. So if you see here, the system also have the helper, system have libraries, language and phone, database and code. So if it will not get in your application, then it will search in the system. User guide is actually a kind of tutorial kind of things the Codeigniter has provided for you. So you have to understand this complete application, complete library, Codeigniter library, Codeigniter framework. You have to understand this Codeigniter framework completely. That is, one by one you have to go through it and you have to see how exactly it works. And the next point will be your PHP concept should be very clear. This is a very important point here. Why? Because complete Codeigniter has been written in PHP. So you have to know how PHP works, because most of the questions will come for PHP as well while giving the Codeigniter interview. So you have to understand how PHP works, what are the key concept in the PHP. You have to prepare for PHP as well, because this Codeigniter library has been completely, it's written in core PHP, so you have to understand the core PHP as well. And the next and the very important point is how you are presenting yourself. That is, while interview, if you know all these points very clearly, you have done everything, so you have did all these homework things, but you couldn't present yourself, then you are not going to crack the interview. So remember that the confidence you are replying, the confidence you are talking, the confidence you are presenting yourself is very important. So you have to make sure that the presentation is very effective. So you have to prepare yourself for the presentation as well. You have to practice. You can practice by kind of taking yourself as interviewer and interview both, and you can just question and answers, and you can focus on your body languages and all. And another things which is not part of this is, before going to any company for the interview, you have to at least do a homework on the company also, because that is very important. Definitely they are going to ask questions about the company, that why you want to join that company, why you have what are the things you liked in that company, what are the things is not good, and how you can build their company more successful, and how your work will be affected to their company, and all those things. This type of questions definitely they're going to ask. So make sure that you have prepared for the company as well. And the next thing is your resume. Your resume should be kind of I mean, it should define about you, your career, your preparation, your everything, only in just 7 seconds, not more than that. Because the interviewer is not going to see your the interviewer is not going to read your resume fully. So make sure that your resume is very clear, very smart, and you have presented very clearly in your interview, in your resume. So yes, hope you guys like these videos. If you really like these videos, do share with your friends, and do like these videos, and don't forget to subscribe this channel, because the more you people will subscribe, the better I'll get the confidence to create this type of videos, and share with you guys. Thank you very much.